So this is a graphic I made. Posted maybe 2 weeks ago, and 10 options for the Pistons to draft at 37. So, is there a particular player that you want to maybe focus on or talk about first?
So I had like these guys. I had like three guys that okay in order who I think will be the best fits, and then three to kind of stay away from, and then I kind of like had an honorable mention that is not even on this list as well as somebody that could possibly consider, even though he kind of you know you, depending on how a lot of this is also depending on how this player movement goes as well goes this season because a lot of these guys are not going to be back. But just looking at this list, and I know I'm going to screw his name up, but I gotta believe Ryan Kalkbrenner from Creighton. He would be at the top of my list. After that would be Maxime Raynaud, and then last would be Drake Powell. Those would be my top three guys that I would kind of look at. My bottom three was Kobe Bria, Hanson Yang, and Johnny Broom.
Okay.
Um, those are my bottom three. My honorable mention that was not on the list to possibly look at was Arizona's Carter Bryant. Just this is an honorable mention. I think they already got enough, guys that kind of fit his makeup. But I mean, again, just considering how player movement who goes and who stays, he just might be a guy that they kind of look at. But when I got it right here. Why did I have Ryan fit? I mean, look, they need a backup center behind Jalen Duren, and I mean, you cannot teach height. So
7-1.
he's a plug and he got it right here. He's a plug and play big for what they need. Instant rim protection, had 2.7 blocks per game. Solid in coverage. And he's gonna also help them out with that defensive identity off on with the second unit. 3-point shot, whatever. Maybe could be a brick-led pro plus type guy later on down the road. But you got Beef Stew coming off injury. Um, you just got a guy that's going to be a solid defensive specialist, and be able to give you rebounds. Um, not too much of a project player in my opinion, but I think somebody that they can really work with and develop. Same thing with Maxime. I think he gives you a little bit of spacing. I'm kind of curious though about his toughness, his demeanor. Like, is he a guy that can kind of fit this Pistons mold? But again, another big man. You can't teach height. Helps with some spacing. I don't. He's more of like he's more of a spot up with his shots. Nothing to really put it on the floor or whatnot. And then Drake Powell. I just think Drake Powell is another good 3-and-D wing. 3-and-D defender. Wingspan is crazy, athletic. One thing I liked about him too is it looks like he has great court vision as well. So
Oh
that's
yeah.
something good that's something good to have on the break and transition and whatnot. And again, with you don't know who's going to be staying and who's going to be going. Little small as far as the height goes, but that's okay. Not end of the world. So but when you got to the guys that I didn't like, I know I'm kind of long with it. Kobe Bria, I like him because he's a bucket, but aside from that, what else does he offer you? To me, not really that much for what this team needs. Hanson Yang, I think what he did in the CBA is phenomenal, but I think he's a project. I don't think the Pistons right now are in the need of a project. I think they need a backup big that can get on the floor right now. And then with Johnny Broom, I'll say this about Johnny Broom. I think he would be the best fit only in the event Isaiah Stewart is moved in the deal. Because I don't think you need two undersized forward centers. I mean, I think that's kind of like, just you don't need two of the same guy. So that would be my only reservation about Johnny Broom. I mean, but he's physical. He's a dog. Um plays tough around the rim, and I think any team that gets him, they're gonna have a solid guy off the bench that can just do some things with your second unit.
Yeah, so I just want to preface this by saying some of these guys you would have to trade up. I
Yeah.
think there are guys like Maxime Renault. I think you would have to trade up for
Yep.
Ryan Kalkbrenner. I think you have to trade up for. And I think that's it. I mean, maybe you buy that a Duthero could be a late first rounder, but I get a lot of. I don't want to say this guy's name because like people get mad, but like he kind of gives you just defensively like Stanley Johnson vibes. And not to say that Stanley Johnson wasn't like
Yeah.
a great defender. He was a good defender. But I don't really know if the Pistons really want to bank on another, wing that can't really shoot. I mean, you do have Fred Vincent, but I feel like most of his attention right now is with Ron and Nassar, and I think the Pistons are pretty good in that aspect. But I do like Thiru. I think he's going to be a really good player in the NBA. Chaz Lanier, I mean, he's had pre-draft workouts with the Pistons. That's the highest rated prospect that they've actually brought in, him and Johnny Broom. But Kory, my favorite prospects just through all these evaluations is Maxime Raynaud. The more I watch him, I think he's a perfect fit for the Pistons. Pistons don't have a player like him on the roster. They don't have a stretch. They don't have a stretch five that can pick and pop like that. He's got a nice floater game. He can finish with either hand. He can reposition himself. Just the way he moves without the ball, I think is really unique. Someone had, kind of put in the chat, like defensively, like what is Maxime really as a player? I'm not going to say he's like a Ryan Kalkbrenner, almost averaging 3 blocks a game. But I do think what Maxime does is he uses his height and he's really good at timing blocks. Not saying he'll ever be a lockdown defender, but I think having a guy like that kind of playing the Paul Reed role, I think to me, I would be intrigued. And I know the Pistons would have to trade up for him. I mean, maybe you trade, I don't know, 3-4 second rounders if he's there at the Brooklyn pick, one of their last picks. Like I would consider that for Maxime because I really, buy the 3-point shot. I like that he can finish with either hand. I think, his passing is a little bit underrated, but he's my favorite prospect out of this top 10 list I did make.
Here's what I put for him. I said, hey, I think he'd pair really well with either Duren or Stewart because of his ability to space the floor and play out of pick and pop. And long term, if you got to move one of those guys, he gives you the versatility to reshape your front court. Not a finished product, needs to get stronger, defend better. But again, we just talked about, the offensive skill set is just something Detroit doesn't have in a big man rotation. And this guy has a lot of upside. So I mean, I had him. Now you're making me wonder, man, maybe I need to flip flop Maxime and Ryan. But I would just more so think it is more so about the defensive side of what Ryan would bring. But those are my top 2 guys. Obviously that if they're able to trade, make some moves and whatnot, those will be my top 2, Ryan and Maxime.
I like Ryan too. I think when I look at Ryan, he's more of a throwback player because he likes to play in the post. He's not really, one of those new age, centers or power forwards for that matter that just like wants to shoot a bunch of threes and just dribble nonstop. I like his interior scoring. Him as a passer, I think just connectively, he makes really good sound passes. The rim,
he does. He has. I've seen it. I was looking at his work at his tape. He has nice court vision.
Yeah, and the rim protection, I think, is like what a lot of people will kind of gravitate towards him. And I mean, if he's like your third string center, I mean, you look at guys in the NBA that he's kind of comparable to. I mean, like Walker Kessler. Like I see a lot of Walker Kessler with Ryan Kalkbrenner. I also see some Brook Lopez because I think there are some people in the draft community that really buy into that 3-point shot. He doesn't really stretch the floor, or I shouldn't say he doesn't.
No.
Stretch the floor. He doesn't shoot as many threes as Maxime Raynaud is, but I should say. But he does have the ability to stretch the floor in that way. I mean, like if you're looking at centers that the Pistons don't really have, it's Maxime and Ryan. They don't have true 7-footers. Like you probably see it all the time. Pistons need a 7-footer. They need a 7-footer. Like both of these guys to me would be really high on my board if I'm the Detroit Pistons in this draft.
Yeah, absolutely. You need some height in that front court, and that's what they've been lacking. I mean, Duren is a big guy, but I mean, he's not as tall as those guys. You need some height. So just being able to get another true big to relieve him in spots and in certain rotations that JB might run. I think that you really could not go wrong with either one of them. It's just more so about the style and the fit of what you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, I agree that there are some guards like Tyrese Proctor, Chaz Lanier, Kobe Brea, Drake Powell. Drake Powell, man, like I watch him, I see a lot of Mikal Bridges. Like just the way he plays, that wingspan, being 6'6", having a 7-foot wingspan. I really like his ability just to kind of like be in that corner and like if he becomes a knockdown shooter, he's that prototypical 3-and-D wing so many NBA teams kind of covet. I really like him. I think he's definitely a trade up option. Chaz Lanier, like the more I think about it, like the one thing he does is shoot. He shoots a hell of a lot of threes. Like, could he be your Tim Hardaway Jr. replacement at 37? Like, I think that's what the Pistons are thinking. Like, there's a chance that THJ is gone, and if you're plugging THJ with the Chaz Lanier and a Malik Beasley, both of these guys are high volume 3-point shooters, and I think the Pistons want to have two high volume 3-point shooters because it was a recipe that worked last season.
Yeah, and I think THJ is out the door because you're going to have, again, you're not going to be able to bring back this team as constructed, and they're going to need some money to be able to pay Malik Beasley because I believe you have to bring Beasley back, and I also think that you need to figure out a way how to bring back Dennis Schroeder if possible. So
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean,
there's gonna some of those guys like a THJ, you're gonna have to draft the replacement for him.
yeah,
It just makes the most sense. But I'm just of the mindset that that would probably be. I don't want to say that would be low on their priority. I just gotta see what they're gonna. We'll see in a couple of days what's about to happen with these trades. I'm just wondering what they're going to do on the trade market either ahead of the draft or on draft night. So that's kind of like where I'm kind of like in flux. Like, do they get a guard or like do they try to go ahead and go for that big man on the bench because they're about to move some of these guys, clear up this log jam at the floor spot.
I mean, they did bring in not a guy I had on this list because he's projected to go in the second round. Kobe Sanders out of Nevada. He's a 6'9" point guard, which I mean, you watch him play, Kory, kind of moves like Cade. It's kind of scary. I'll send you his highlight tape, but I mean, being 6'9", being able to handle the rock like that, I mean, maybe that's an option if you get indication that Dennis just wants to leave personally. But I mean, I put Kobe Brea in there just because I honestly believe in the shooting. If you want to have a guy like if you're looking at just adding 3-point shooters, I think you look at Chaz Lanier, you look at Kobe Brea, and you look at Tyrese Proctor, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think they're looking for guys that could do a little bit of everything. But again, like I said, Kobe Bryant is a bucket. So it's like it's not if that's what you want, it's not like it's a bad idea. It's just more so like, okay, just seeing how the way this team has been playing. Okay, I don't see it, but
I get it. Like
hey.
that's how I feel about Johnny Broom. I don't see it.
Yeah, like again, like I didn't see he was definitely on my last, like on my top three of my worst three, because it's like you kind of already have a Johnny Broom type with Isaiah Stewart, and I think Isaiah Stewart does his job a little bit better. But again, he's coming into the league, so he's got to come in there and get used to everything right now. But if you move an Isaiah Stewart, okay, that opens up the possibility of even entertaining a guy like Johnny Broom, even though you could still probably go in another direction that would be better.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think if they do keep the pick, because you never know, like you mentioned, like the NBA draft, there's probably going to be a lot of player movement with a lot of teams that are in the aprons. The Pistons do decide to keep their pick. I think one of these guys may get selected. Maybe they do trade up and get a Ryan Kalkbrenner or a Maxime Raynaud. But I mean, it'll be interesting, man. I think this is the first year where I haven't really dove into the draft that deeply.